Hockey Show, and we are talking about the Boston Bruins and what they have done this trade deadline so far. Now, this team is in a tight situation when it comes to just their team in general, because they've got two big issues for them right now. For one, by the looks of things, their top two centermen, or at least they're two of their best centermen, in legendary Patrice Bergeron and, I guess, still Boston legend David Krejci, probably not returning for next season. So they're stuck with two center spots missing as of right now by the looks of things, and they've replaced them with one guy here, but they still have Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle to replace those guys. So that's a big loss of talent right there. So you got to replace them. But the issue is, just a couple weeks ago, to replace those guys, they only had $5 million to spend on 8 players. 8 roster spots. Now, that's literally impossible with the cap's minimum being $725,000. So, basically impossible. So, they had to do a move and make a trade that they probably didn't want to, but had to happen. And Taylor Hall is out of the Bruins to Chicago, so they add that $6 million to add to their 5. So, they have $11 million to spend, and they have spent some of it to try to put on the ice a team that is at least somewhat good enough to, I mean, this team's a playoff team, I think, regardless of what they do, but try to put together a team that may win a first round and go farther into the playoffs with what still remains of this team and their amazingness that they had last year. So let's see what they've done so far with their money. First out, we've got James Van Riemsdyk. Now, James Van Riemsdyk, obviously not who he used to be in the NHL. At this point, he's only putting up last year 29 points. Now, I will say 12 goals and 29 points on the Philadelphia Flyers is not that bad. And I know that's like, it might be stupid to say, but just listen. This guy, he's older in age, and he's been around the league a long time. He's got to be disgruntled, right? He's got to be disgruntled playing for a team being coached by John Tortorella, of all people. He's probably not in the best headspace over there in Philadelphia. Now that he signed a 1-year contract for $1 million, so pretty good for the team, he's going to be able to play with some great players and a good atmosphere, the Boston crowd, the attitude in the arena, just everything is going to be better about playing in Boston than in Philadelphia. Not just because Philadelphia sucks as a city, but just the team itself. They're going to have a winning atmosphere and just so much more talent to play with and actually go in with good intentions and have a good coach as well. And this guy, from going 12 goals last year with Philadelphia, you got to think he gets at least 8 more with the Boston Bruins, right? I mean, he's probably not going to be getting top-line minutes by any means, but if he's on the second, third line, and he's got a hell of a shot still, if he can make that second power play unit, he could easily be getting 8 more goals, get to 20 goals this season, maybe get up to maybe 5 points this year. Not that bad. And just a solid pickup for the Bruins, and JVR being more on a motivated team, as well as the next guy, Milan Lucic. The return of who I think is the closest player in the NHL to a Bear in Milan Lucic. Because this guy, 6'3", 231 pounds, he's got the size, he's got the weight. This guy, we know who Milan Lucic is. I don't got to explain it to you, but I will anyways. The guy is just a wrecking ball, and being on this team again, he is, if every player was to be categorized and put onto the team that they most fit, Lucic would be like the captain of the Boston Bruins. This guy is a Bruin through and through, and I know that they were saying that he sent a picture of him buying a hat after he knew he was going to come back to the Bruins, and just how excited he is. I think from being on the teams he's been on with the Flames and the Oilers, and I guess when he first got traded to the Kings, but last few years with the Flames and that team being such a disaster as it is, can't win anything in the playoffs. I think coming back home to Boston, being on that team that made him a legend but a known player in the NHL, I think he's going to be motivated. He's not going to be a point producer, but I think being on this team for that one last year, probably to retire, will just motivate him to just put on a show. This is his last run, his last act, to put on a show and be a wrecking ball, to force, put on some highlight reel hits, and go down a Boston legend. So, great pickup there. Regardless of how well he performs, I think he will be that wrecking ball. Points-wise, not going to be a star, but just a good pickup, fourth line, third line guy. Just good, nice move. Then we've got Connor Geeky. Now, 2 years at $2 million. I'm seeing people complain about $2 million for him. I gotta say, for a 24-year-old player who's got 28 points, to me that's not bad, especially on a team who needs a couple more centermen on this team. Morgan Geeky, I mean, he plays well. Like, on the eye test, he might be a guy that's kind of snake-bitten. To me, he's a guy who's really playing hard. He's out there playing good, penalty kill. Like, he's just someone that needs a opportunity to run, and he's not going to be like a 50-point scorer or anything by that. But I just mean 28 points and going to the Bruins just might be his opportunity for him to say, like, hey, I'm grabbing that brass ring. I'm going to go to a big market in Boston and try to show off, like, hey, I can be a big part of this, especially with Patrice Bergeron leaving. They need a penalty kill centerman. He's just the perfect guy for that. And to me, 2 years at $2 million isn't that bad, especially with the cap hit going up this year and probably going to start going back up again. I don't think this is a bad move at all. It's center depth. They got it. Now they got Coyle, Zaka, and Connor Geeky. To me, that's not bad. I mean, it's not a Bergeron, Krejci, Zaka, and Coyle, but it's not that bad. For only $2 million, to me, people complaining, I just don't get it. So, and he's 24 years old. Who knows? Maybe this is the year he breaks out, and maybe he does become like a 40-point guy. You never know. But to me, not bad. And then we've got we got Shattenkirk from the Anaheim Ducks. Now, this is a guy who's been everywhere. From the Blues to the Rangers to the Lightning to, didn't he go to somewhere else before going to the Ducks, or did he go straight, whatever. Now he's finally gone to the Boston Bruins. Now, this is a offensive guy, offensive defenseman back there for only $1 million for 1 year at 1.05. And to me, why did they have to add on the extra $50,000? Is he like trying to buy a car and he's like, that's his like extra money? He was like, hey, I'm trying to buy a car, give me the extra 50. I don't know. I don't even know why I said anything about that. But anyways, not a bad contract. And for defensive wise, the Bruins are stacked, right? They got 3 good pairings back there. Shattenkirk might not be like the best defenseman in the world, but to be that third line pairing offensive guy who can move the puck up the ice, being paired with a guy like maybe like Brandon Carlo, I think is fine. Because first line, you got McAvoy, then you've got Lindholm as well up there. You've got guys like, you got Grishalik still on the team who can move the puck, and now you've got Shattenkirk on the back who can have a bomb of a shot and join on the rush. So nice pick up there on the bottom third D spot back there. So, and just $1 million, not that bad. So 4 good signings, as well as I'd like to point out, and I always like when teams do this, is throw a bone to some guys. They got this guy, Anthony Richard. I'm pretty sure it's Richard because he's from Quebec. And this guy, he was 9th in the AHL in points, 67 points in 60 games, not that bad, 30 goals on the AHL, the Laval Rockets. I mean, I love it when a team does this. I'd love to see if they throw him a bone like, hey, play the 4th line, maybe even the 3rd line, see if you become a Michael Bunting or a Connor Garland, where they throw out a guy from the AHL who's performing well and say, we have a good atmosphere, we're a winning team, go out there, show us what you got, show us that great shot of yours, show us that you got some skill, and let's see what you got, because we need some cheap guys. He was signed for cheap, only $775,000. And not a big cap hit, not a risk at all. It's only a reward. No risk to this one, only reward. And if they can throw him out there and he does perform like I think he could, that could be huge. Same thing goes for guys like Matthew Phillips going to the Washington Capitals. Throw bone to these guys, these teams that are tight on cap situation, and see if they can run for you. Because if they can run and this team, the Bruins, have found a Michael Bunting situation here, and the guy gets 64 points this year, which I know sounds crazy, but yeah, I would have sounded crazy saying about it for Michael Bunting a few years ago, then you never know. So, overall, decent depth signings, and they still have $6.2 million left to spend, and they're definitely going to spend it. This team is a cap team. They're trying to perform in the playoffs still. To me, what else do they need? They definitely need a top 6 guy. A guy like Patrick Kane, a guy like Vladimir Tarasenko. Just one more guy to fill in that Taylor Hall position. And, I mean, the depth-wise, they definitely do need some more depth. But with this team trying to be a playoff team, I would think that they'd rather go for some top-end talent than to keep filling out the depth back there and waste away another $1 or $2 million to get down to $4 million to spend on a guy. And I know they just lost Tyler Bertuzzi, which is kind of strange. I thought he definitely would have been the guy for them to re-sign, but I guess not. So that is all I got to say. The Bruins doing good so far. They just need a little bit more sweetening, and they're definitely not going to get back to that #1 in the NHL best season record ever again, but they still are a playoff team, and I guess maybe they hold out, and see where they're at the trade deadline. I don't know. I'm sure moves aren't done for them. But that is all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription. And until next time, too sweet, have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.